Hello, everyone, and welcome back. And sorry if my voice is getting kind of dried out. I don't mean for it to be, but because yeah, I'm filming this basically immediately after the last video. So, and thankfully, I put my overhead light on. That really helps a lot. The last video was kind of dark, I guess, because I was filming just off the light coming in the window. But this time, I'm using the overhead light. So yeah. I hope that these pens, sorry, I hope that these pens are water soluble after, you know, a few minutes. Sorry, I kind of bopped the camera there. But I hope that these Jelly Roll pens are water soluble after coloring with them, and letting them dry for a few minutes, because that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. Well, either way. Trying to figure out what colors I should use where, but you know what? I think I'll just use both of them. Because even though the Jelly Rolls are really brown and really dark, um, and I found out that, for whatever reason, I haven't liked using these Jelly Rolls. Maybe because to my eye they were just too light, you know. Nice thing about coloring is that you can always kind of redraw your pictures, you know. Because if you did something that was like just doesn't look right, you can always go ahead and basically, and even quite literally, redraw it and make it so that whatever is shaped differently and whatnot, which is what I did here. I totally eliminated what I think was actually a shadow, you know, but I'm glad I did because I think it needed it, you know, in my opinion. I think it needed it. Sorry about not being so talkative and just going silent. But you could call this enjoyable. And I'm definitely enjoying myself. So I think that's important. This is going to be really, really interesting to me to see how well this works. If this works at all. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Well, like I said, I've kind of had a cold here, and that's the weird thing. I haven't, I'm sick, so I haven't gone out of the house. I haven't even, I can't even go to the doctor. But we got this massive windstorm. Oh my gosh. The water is beating up. No way. The water is actually beating up from what I can tell. Oh, now it's starting to soak in. Okay. It was initially beating up on the jelly roll. That's amazing. Okay, now we're getting some blending. Thank goodness. I am so glad, because I was like, oh no, what am I going to do if it won't blend? It does look pretty beautiful though, I gotta say. I think it looks really, really good. I kind of like putting gold on these leaves. These flowers look so regal now with just this little touch of gold going on. I know that cameras cannot pick up metallic colors. They can pick up neon, but not necessarily. My cameras won't pick up neon. So my cameras won't pick up metallic colors and neon. So it makes it really difficult to try to get across to the audience what something looks like, especially if it's real beautifully glittery or beautifully bright neon. Like, the camera is just not going to see that, which is so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. Yeah. And this is so odd, but because of the angle that the paper is at and everything, and because of having to keep it on camera like this, I literally can't really see what I'm doing, because all I'm seeing is like this metallic sort of glare on the paper. It's kind of funny. Ah. Oh no. Well, now that's going to have a hole in it. Not that bad, thankfully. I was wondering if these gel pens, if they kind of became permanent after adding water and letting it set and soak into the fibers for a while, because I noticed that that these gel pens, they're really ripping up the paper, pretty bad. And I know that if you tear up the paper, that loosens the fibers of the paper, and that allows the ink to soak in, and a lot of times that'll make the ink very, very permanent. And it made me wonder if, like in areas like this and whatnot, where you can't see it on camera, but right here, the paper is all ripped up. It's all ripped up. And it's because, I had to go over it over and over and over again. But then you add water to that, and that like binds the ink, usually, at least in other mediums that I found, to the paper. So it makes me wonder if I'm actually binding the ink to the paper like usual, or if it's something else, you know? Sorry about going quiet again. Giving this one a nice, good, long shadow. Oh, I gotta blow my nose. Sorry, give me a second. Okay. Don't worry, it's all okay. I now have a Kleenex with me. So, but yeah, so I haven't been out of the house, of course, and I'm not about to go out of the house, but because I just can't. Um, but we had a windstorm the other day that was wow. It was actually earlier in the month, but so it was so strong and so windy. It was just wow. And it blew in a lot of stuff. And it was after that windstorm that actually it was before and especially during that windstorm that I got so sick. And initially I was like, oh, it's allergies. But then, you know, these allergies didn't go away. And next thing I know, I'm actually sick with a cold. And I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Because despite what anyone has said, you know, I am trying to make myself healthy. I mean, despite what anyone says or believes, you know, because people can say, it's worthless, don't fight it, you're not going to get better, you know, and but they don't give you any information. And it's like, well, give me proof, and they just won't, you know. So, despite what anyone has said, despite what, you know, and really I probably shouldn't be talking about this because this isn't art. And this is being kind of soapboxy, but despite the beliefs of any doctors, I call them quackies now, rightfully so, because they treat people so horribly. I'm not the only one that they have treated horribly, but despite the horrible things that doctors have said, give up, don't try, don't fight, all this stuff, I'm still trying to make myself healthy and keep myself as healthy as I can. And I'm still trying to fight, and I'm still trying to make myself better. And, you know, when medicine literally turns its back on you, what else are you left to do but strike out on your own? I mean, it's the exact same thing that happened with me with, the church. The church says, we don't want you anymore, and it's because you're sick and you're making us look bad, you know, and all the laying on of hands and prayers and everything, you know, doesn't help, and you just get sicker and sicker and sicker. And you never once think of blaming God, but then, essentially God, the church and everyone in it, the preacher and everyone ends up blaming you. And it's like, well, what? And that kind of spins your head around. So, but yeah, I really need to not talk about that on this. It's interesting how art just gets you thinking. You can't help it. And I gotta say, I don't like how this one. I think this turned out terrible. I was trying to put more shading on it, and then I did the shading wrong. You know what? I was thinking, I'm positive, because I'd be shocked if I can't at least try to blot it away. So I'm going to try to blot at least a little bit. Anyway, I'm doing everything I can to be healthy, and I'm going to do everything I can to make myself better. And even though I'm very old school, and there's the old saying of, well, you can't die from embarrassment. So, despite what anyone says, there's no such thing as dying from a broken heart. There's no such thing as dying from loneliness, you know. But I have to say, I'm wondering if what are they called, like millennials or whatever, are right in that stress actually can cause you health problems. And so it makes me wonder if depression from being chronically ill can cause you health problems and make, your current health problems worse. And I have to admit, I have actually physically, in my physical body, I've felt it. I've felt a little bit better doing this art. And the last time I did it, I actually felt, strangely enough, significantly better. Like I had actually, I don't know, like physically eaten something, or, you know, I don't know what. I mean, I can't have aspirin, but essentially like taking an aspirin, or what I figure taking an aspirin is like, or, just whatever. Did you know that aspirin is salt? Did you know that magnesium is a salt too? And so is baking soda. I got the joy of finding that out from becoming so sick from it. But so if you're having, salt problems or kidney problems, especially kidney problems, you'll know. But yeah, don't have baking soda, because baking soda, my God, baking soda is such a strong salt. So don't have baking soda. Sadly and terribly, I had to find that one out the hard way. But I'm hoping that I can make myself healthy enough, because despite me being horribly sick and not being able to do anything about it, not really getting any help, I'm just continuing to live, and I'm having good days and bad days, you know, and before I was having good weeks and bad weeks, and I'm having good days and bad days now. So I don't know. It makes me hopeful. Heck, I was able to go on a walk, twice last week. That was a big deal. I was able to walk up to my corner and back, which is not very far at all. But that's a very, very big deal for me, you know? So, I mean, from having whole weeks where I couldn't get out of bed, to being able to sit in the living room, to being able to actually go out for a walk, you know, that's really, really lucky. So, I can't tell you how grateful I am. So, I'm willing to, put faith in this, eat healthy thing and exercise as best you can, you know. I mean, one person's exercise is another person's being lazy. Everyone has different health demands, but, so don't sneeze on someone else's health demand, or need. I gotta, is it just me, or is this just looking ugly? Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Sorry about that soapbox thing, but I really don't know what else to talk about. And every time I do art, I end up thinking about, obviously, what's going on in my life and very serious stuff. So, but those are just my life experiences. So, yeah. But yeah, being chronically ill here taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about the church and about medicine and doctors and what's considered medical science nowadays. Man, no. Oh, and the timer's going off. Okay, well, it's at the 20-minute mark. And y'all probably don't want to hear any more from me, so I'm definitely going to do one more video. I'm going to try to color this in, even though it's a horrible hot mess. But I need to try to color that center part in. Mm. I don't know how I'm going to, I mean, because all these little things are white. So, but I didn't know what to do with this, so. You know what? It looks awful, but it's getting done, and that's what matters. That's what matters. So thanks for stopping by. I'm going to do at least one more video on this painting before I just more than likely finish it off camera. So anyway, bye. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.